It's time for our regular trip to the wonderful world of Windsor and our Royal Watch with former Sun Royal Editor and author Charlie Rae. Good morning, Charlie.
Morning, Kevin.
Very happy New Year to you, of course.
And to you and everyone else who's listening.
Indeed. Now, you and I have spoken long and hard about Prince Harry's fall from grace over this turbulent year. They ran away from him and Meghan ran away from the royal family, said they were going to live in Canada. What they really wanted to do was live in Hollywood, so now they live in a great big mansion, a place called Montecito, just up the coast from Los Angeles, and they have chosen this as the base from which to preach to a bored world about their woke ideas. Fine, get on with it. I don't really care. Fine, take $100 million from Netflix to make tedious documentaries that will be a cure for insomnia. Get on with it. Who cares? Fine, take $30 million from Spotify for your useless podcasts, which again will be the oral equivalent of their Netflix documentaries, A Cure for Insomnia. Get on with it. I don't really care. But this week, I really felt Prince Harry, just hit a most extraordinary new low, a shocking new low. He started using his mum, Princess Diana, basically to make money. So out came this letter for 2021 from their Archwell Foundation. The Archwell Foundation, folks, is an organisation that is making Meghan and Harry millions and millions and millions of dollars. So don't get carried away with the idea this is some sort of altruistic venture. It isn't. It's to put money into their ever-expanding bank account. But the letter for 2021 says, begins with a picture of a baby Harry, very young Harry, toddler, on his mother's shoulders. Very famous picture, an iconic picture. And it says, "I am my mother's son." And in comes Meghan now. "And I am our son's mother. Together we bring you Archwell." Yeah, well, together you can stick Archwell where the sun doesn't shine, as far as I'm concerned. However, I just think this is beyond the pale. This is disgusting.
It is, Kevin, and there is no mention of the other parent in all this, who is Prince Charles. I mean,
you're also your father's son, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and he did a fair bit, to help raise young Harry, especially when his mother tragically died in 1997, and he just seems to be left out of the whole thing. And I have to say as well, these are two people who are now preaching to the world about all sorts of things, especially the importance of families. And hang on a second, aren't these the two people who just deserted their own families? Harry, the royal family back in England, and Meghan, who still hasn't spoken to her father for about 2 years, best part of 2 years now. I mean, it is just hypocrisy to the extreme with these two.
Yeah, and you can't help suspecting that Meghan, I mean, she's shown a very volatile entrepreneurial instinct. She knows there's money in Diana's picture is a lucrative source of income. That's what they're doing here. They're putting up Princess Diana, still an icon all over the world, to cash in on her memory. That's
absolutely true. They're using Diana, as many organisations have done in the past. But it's, with Harry, and William, who've tried to protect their mother all these years since she died, it just smacks of using her for just the sake of using her to make money. I've got no objections to them making money. I have no.
As I said, no, me.
Best of luck to them, whatever else. But they can't have it both ways. They can't keep using their royal connections to make money. And we've learned today, that the royal family, particularly the Queen, is not at all happy with the fact that they are linked with so many commercial organisations. Meghan's latte company that she's pumped money into. This is the Right On latte company where you can get nuts and whatever else. I don't know. And what is surprising is, do you remember just at the cenotaph where Harry had wanted to be laid, and it came out that royal courtiers had vetoed the idea? Well, the excellent reporter Rebecca English in the Mail today has revealed that in actual fact these royal courtiers didn't have a thing to do with it. In actual fact, it was the Queen, and she says, who took 2 seconds to veto Harry being involved. The Queen is very much of the opinion you're either in the royal family or you're out of the royal family. And if you're out of the royal family, you don't get, the benefits or whatever benefits. You are working for the institution, which is, her pride and joy. And she's devoted a long, long life to it. And she does not want people like Harry to mess it all up.
Yeah, and of course what you're talking about is that Harry at the cenotaph ceremony on Remembrance Day wanted a wreath to be laid on his behalf for all of the fallen military heroes. As you say, the Queen took 2 seconds to say, no, you left the royal family, you're not involved in this, at which point Harry and Meghan, rather petulantly I would have thought, staged their own ceremony by going to an Los Angeles military cemetery where all the soldiers from America are buried, to lay their own wreath, taking the precaution of taking a photographer along with them to turn it into a cheap and nasty publicity stunt. These two people are really scaling new depths. They really are. I just think this is becoming a clear and present daily embarrassment for the royal family, don't you think?
Yeah, it is an embarrassment for the royal family. There is no doubt about that. And it's going to be an even busier few months coming up, because we are expecting certainly Harry to come back, because in March is the end of this year-long deal that they've got at the moment, and that that will turn out to be extended for forever and a day. And he's also due to be around for the Queen's 95th birthday, Prince Philip's 100th birthday, and, of course, the unveiling of the Diana statue at Kensington later this year. So there'll be a couple of trips, COVID providing, of course, that he'll be here for some, quite intensive talks with the royal family. And I'm sure they'll be reading the riot act to him over some of the things that he and Meghan have been getting up to with Netflix and Spotify and, right on coffee cups.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking this too far, I would argue. Now, the unveiling of the Diana statue, which takes place, doesn't it, in the summer or something, that was being depicted as possibly an occasion where Harry and William could mend the damage that has happened during this obvious feud that's been going on between the two of them. William is no fan of what Harry has done. He's no fan of what Harry continues to do to turn his royal status into a cash cow. But this use of their mother's picture in a commercial venture, I think William will be seething about that, won't he?
I don't think William will be at all happy with it at all. And in particularly the fact as well that only Diana is mentioned. There's no mention of the dad. There's no mention of Prince Charles at all. And we have to remember that Prince Charles, did a big lot, as any parent would do, to raise these two boys as well. Despite the falling apart of their marriage as a family unit, he did as best he could. To help raise these two boys. And, of course, William is even more upset because he had hoped that when eventually he becomes king, that Harry would be there to help support him with, everybody needs, a wingman. And William was hoping that Harry would be that wingman when he became king. And it doesn't look as if, it's certainly not going to look as if it's going to happen now. And I think the strained relationship between the two brothers, it's not going to be repaired that easy. It could get a little bit softer, but it's not ever going to be repaired.
Let's talk about that podcast. What's it called? Archwell Audio. We've listened to. I've been playing a bit on my show this week. It's just dreadful. I mean, it just defies belief that they should think this stuff is entertaining. But of course, they've dragged in the usual court jesters. There's always a couple of showbiz I was going to say so. Crawlers like James Corden, Elton John, who'll help their venture. They're on this podcast. But it is woke claptrap in the extreme, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and also as well, they bring in, you mentioned James Corden and Elton John, both of whom are not short of a bob or two. This is not representative of the majority of people that they want to attract, to get to grips with this thing. And it's interesting that this podcast entered the sort of the charts, or whatever charts there are around, and it came below a
Wales,
a one deep sleep sounds which help people go to sleep.
Yeah, we did a thing yesterday, Charlie, on my show. We did Harry Wales versus the real Wales, and the Wales of the sea beat Harry Wales hands down. And we did a whole slot from a whale expert, and he said, "Well, I think this is exactly right, because whales making noises beneath the ocean are far more interesting than Harry Wales ever could be." But yeah, it hasn't done very well, this podcast. Has it?
It's gone up the charts a little bit more as more and more people have got to hear about it. But the only interesting thing from my point of view on this thing is that they actually got little Archie to say a few words, like the word fun and...
I thought you were going to say something else then.
Yeah, no, I can
fun.
Yeah, okay. Fun, F-U-N, and Happy New Year. And we learn he's got an American accent. There's no surprise that he's got an American accent.
That's good then, Charlie. That's good. They're not only cashing in on Princess Diana, they're cashing in on their little kid as well. Everything's a source of money for them, isn't it?
Yeah, well, every cloud, as far as they're concerned, has got a silver lining. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so they've got a silver dollar lining. They've made themselves pretty rich, though, this year, haven't they? I mean, they've got $130 million worth of deals. Clearly, the other aspect of this thriving industry that Meghan has created, I mean, I'll give her some credit for it. I mean, she knows how to turn a royal connection into cash, is, of course, this coffee company. They're called Clever. Without they don't use the second vowel, do they? Clever. And it's like coffee, like with ground up mushrooms. Sounds disgusting. They've got she's put money into it, and then she gets both Oprah Winfrey and Kim Kardashian, her celebrity influencer pals, to go online and to go onto the social media saying how wonderful this coffee is. So she's using her mates to boost the sales of it. It's a surefire way to make money.
Well, it is if you've got Oprah Winfrey and Kim Kardashian, I mean, who've got an amazing amount of followers. I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of people follow these two women at all. So anything they say is reaching a huge audience. And even if the odd one or two people just decide to have a go at this coffee without the final E, then this company is going to make an awful lot of money. And of course, guess who else makes an awful lot of money? Meghan, as she's invested into it. And as I say, I don't have any problem with her making money. I just wish they wouldn't keep trading in on their royal connections. And there doesn't seem to be any sign of them losing their titles. We have to remember that when, Edward resigned all those years ago after having married to Wallis Simpson, they never removed those titles then. So I doubt very much if these two are going to lose their titles in the very near future.
Well, the royal family, Her Majesty and her palaces, have kind of been very diplomatic through all of this, feeding out sources, information, insiders, quotes saying, Her Majesty wants to, stay close to her grandson and, bears him no ill will. But, you know the way the palace thinks, the way the Queen thinks. They will be finding this very, very, very distasteful indeed, and they will find it very uncomfortable, this naked, blatant cashing in on the royal connections, turning being a member of the royal family into a massive income, into money. They will not like this. So, given all that, when Harry arrives here to extend this transition deal for another year, he wants to carry on at least being spoken of as a kind of not a functioning or a functioning member of the royal family, as opposed to a working member of the royal family. That was supposed to end in March. Now, given what he's up to now, surely the palace might dig its heels in and say, "No, mate, you're out. You're out. Go. You cannot have an extension." What do you think?
Oh, no. There's no way that they'll not let them have the extension. It'll be gone. I mean, as you quite rightly say, I mean, Harry's still the Queen's grandson, and she still, has a great deal of affection and love for him. But despite all that, I mean, they will let them go their own way, but they will definitely not like the commercialization of the royal family in the way that Harry and Meghan are using their titles and they're using their links to the royal family, to have all these deals. And let's not forget about it. If they didn't have these titles and they weren't connected with the royal family, they wouldn't be getting all this money. To be perfectly honest, it's that simple. That's their big hook. That's the bait that they've got that will entice other companies to give them a lot of money.
Well, one thing I would say, Charlie, that the royal family, in terms of branding and publicity, are no slouches. They know what they're doing. They've preserved themselves due to skillful manipulation of the media scene. I think maybe, I bow to your superior knowledge, but they're going to hear the feelings of the British people louder and louder. And the British people would not like an extension of this deal that they've got going on now. They'd like a complete break. I think the British people are sickened by what Harry's up to.
I don't think you're wrong on that. I think they would like a break, and I think we will get in March the 31st is when this one ends. We'll get a definite extension of it. But it's going to be very difficult for the royal family to clamp down on the links that Meghan and Harry have got to the royal family while they're making money. The only good thing is, Kevin, is that you and I aren't paying for it, and the rest of the listeners aren't paying for it. They're paying their own way, which is what they said right at the start is what they wanted to do. So they've achieved that.
Yeah, we'll give them that, but I wish it would go some way further. You just made the natural confusion between me and Prince Harry. It happens all the time to me. Everywhere I go, they say, "You Prince Harry?" Charlie,
you Harry Prince.
Yeah. Harry Prince, yeah, the well-known robber from the East End of London. Charlie, once again, Happy New Year to you. Thanks for all your help over the past year, and we will speak again next week.